Well, hello. As was mentioned there, my name is Roy Palmer. I am a filmmaker, a theremin player, you can probably guess, and also the founder of a Facebook group dedicated to the Theremini that, as we just said, one of you can win. The Facebook group is designed to give people the opportunity to share ideas and to find out information and find out how to drive it as well as play it. So, the theremin itself, how did it come about? I can even work a slideshow. How did it come to pass? Well, back in 1919, in Russia, scientists were engaged in projects looking into proximity effects. Something we take for granted now. You walk into a room, a light comes on, somebody breaks into your house, the alarm goes off, and so on and so forth. But they were experimenting with proximity effects back in 1919. And one scientist, a gentleman by the name of Leon Theremin, was looking into how to measure the density of gases in the air. And he found that the equipment he built to do this had both a visual indicator but an audible indicator. And he noticed that as he moved around the room, the sound changed. And being a cello player, he thought, hello, there's something musical going on here. And so he tweaked and developed that equipment, and it became the theremin. And here is Leon Theremin with his piece of equipment. You see there, it's quite a size. Obviously back then we didn't have transistors and integrated circuits and miniaturization. The diamond-shaped things up at the back there, by the way, they're loudspeakers. So Leon Theremin invented the device. As a cello player, realised its musical potential, but he also had to invent how it was played, because no one knew that. But I thought what would be really nice now is if he kind of reached back through history and actually heard the inventor of the theremin playing his own instrument. Ladies and gentlemen, Leon Theremin. If that doesn't deserve a round of applause, I don't know what doesn't. So how do you play it? Well, this is where we come to the special bit of today. Leon Theremin taught a very young lady at the age of 8 or 9 how to play. This young lady is actually here today. She's a performer, a musician, she composes, she teaches, and without her help, I wouldn't be where I am today. She is an incredible player, and only recently she performed with the Royal Philharmonic Orchestra in Italy. She has played on film soundtracks. For those of you who are a bit more geeky than me, she's played on Existenz by David Cronenberg, Ed Wood, the film directed by Tim Burton, and more recently a film called The Electric Life of Louis Wayne, starring the infamous Benedict Cumberbatch. So ladies and gentlemen, would you please give a very, very warm welcome to Lydia Kavina.
well, what would you like to know? Everyone likes to know how it has been played, right? So we don't ask how the synthesizer works or how you play the synthesizer. It is somehow very obvious. Everyone can do it. Yeah, touching, pressing the key. On the theremin, you don't touch. You move your hands and you change the pitch by your right hand. So far away it is lower sound. And you change the volume with your left hand. And do all sort of articulation with your left hand. If you are a left-handed person, you can turn the instrument around and play from another side. The instrument doesn't see, it acts from all sides. You can play pantomima with it. Okay, so but of course theremin players develop their technique to use their fingers. It is quite different than we would use it on the piano or any other touching instrument, traditional instruments.
Thank you, Lydia. We mentioned earlier that Lydia was actually taught by Leon Theremin. So I guess the important question is, what was Leon Theremin actually like?
Well, I was lucky that Leon Theremin lived very long life, almost 100 years. When I was a child, he was over 80 years old, and he was a relative of mine, so he got an idea that he would teach me, and he actually was very persistent in the idea to create followers. So he taught people. So if people wanted to learn the theremin, he would teach them. And he was actually what I was mostly fascinated by his health and vital look. So over 80 years old, he was working every day in the university in Moscow, and he would travel all the way over after his long working day to teach me. So it was really very impressive. Always walked the stairs up to the 5th floor, so it was this kind of very optimistic and very energetic person, and of course amazingly talented. So this talent was in his hands, that he could play the theremin so brilliantly. As you could listen now with this very sentimental, very emotional expression, but also I would always watch him, how he sold instruments, so how he repaired them and works with his hands, and all these magical ideas, magical inventions that he had, and people would think this is a fairy tale, but he made them with his own hands.
Yeah, one thing that Leon Theremin did, we've probably all heard the name John Logie Baird. Well, Leon Theremin invented television way before John Logie Baird did. Unfortunately, because it was in Russia, we never got to find out. Another couple of things that happened with Leon, because of the instrument and its popularity, he had to demonstrate it to many people, and occasionally he would demonstrate it to very, very important people in Russia. And the story is that he actually demonstrated the instrument to Lenin and had to literally stand behind Lenin and put his arms around him and move Lenin's arms without being shot by the guards, obviously. Okay, but he also toured Europe. He went to America and toured America with the instrument and influenced many, many people in America. And eventually in 1924, I think it's 24, the instrument was actually patented in the States, and the RCA company took it upon themselves to manufacture and sell the instrument, to try and get one in every home in America. Now, what's happened since then? The theremin evolves. As you can see, by the way that Lydia was playing, you're finding notes in thin air. Okay, you're moving your hands. There's nothing structured. There's no guide. There's no definite point like with a keyboard. Well, what happened was in the late 50s, this gentleman got involved. Anybody tell me who he is? Thank you. The father of modern synthesis. Now, Bob Moog, in the late 50s, found circuit diagrams for theremins, began building them, and selling kits. And that relationship that he developed with the theremin lasted throughout his life. He was a very passionate man about the instrument, about electronic music. Now, you can see there in the top corner, Bob Moog with Leon Theremin. Now, another connection. The theremin world is full of connections. Lydia, you knew and met Bob on many occasions. Yeah. What was Bob Moog like?
Well, that's very, on one side he was in some way much alike Lev Theremin, so he was a very talented, very workable person. At the same time, he was very open to other people, so he was very, very friendly. He really had this warm heart for making other people comfortable, making other people happy. That's the impression that I got from him. And always very helpful and trying to understand your needs and trying to make them work straight away.
Now, the evolution then. We come to this instrument.
Shall I play? Yeah,
let's hear Lydia play something. Yes.
Yeah, we actually thought that I would play a piece. It is a piece by my own. It's called Fata Morgana. I know, this is your beloved piece, your favorite piece. I had to play it.
We changed the order slightly, it doesn't matter. So, you saw there, I mean, for those of you, obviously you've just heard the incredible range of sound you can get from that instrument, to really incredibly low notes to very high notes. The difficulty, obviously, for all of us learning is where do you find the notes? So we come to the Theremini. I'm just going to switch it on. Hopefully there won't be a big bang. Well, but that's apparently how it all started, of course. The Theremini, brought out in around 2008, I think it was, designed to sort of bridge the gap and make it easier to play. First of all, it's lovely and compact. And for those of you who like a good laugh, that's how compact it is. You can actually take it camping. Much to the annoyance of my good lady who's over there somewhere, I took it camping with us. It's very compact, but it also has this amazing screen, which you can see there in the center. And the screen, now some of you have spotted the word Midi. We'll come to that in a minute. The screen shows you, is Ed there? I don't know if he's around. There's a screen on the front of here that shows you the note you are playing. So when you... Let me just get a shot of this. And see there the note? So if it actually shows that note before you let it out, before you release it with your volume hand. So you can kind of preview the notes. Okay, thanks Ed. The other thing it has is pitch correction. And if I turn the pitch correction all the way up, I can never play a wrong note. Okay, and then you turn it down, and then you get back to that beautiful glissando effect. Also has a built-in delay. You could hear that. The delay comes with 3 settings, so it's short, medium, and long. It also comes with 32 presets. It's effectively in here is an Moog synth. Okay, so this is a basic sound. It also has scales. You can actually program different scales for presets. So combined with the pitch correction, you can get various scales as well. Let's just give you a couple of other sounds. You can hear how low that goes. Anybody tell me that one note? But the clever bit, now we're going to come to the MIDI part. On the back here, you've got a USB socket, and that is currently connected to my MacBook. The software I'm going to show you in a minute works with Windows, it works with iPads and so on. There is also a CV output. Unfortunately, we didn't have time to demo that today, but there's a CV output on here, so you could use it to control an analog synth if you wish, okay? But the way it works on MIDI, unfortunately, it doesn't send MIDI note information, but it has a thing called the Theremini editor, okay? And I'm just going to find that down here, the well-rehearsed. You see now this editor screen. You can see there, over on the right, I can never remember which way around it is, a library. You get the 32 presets. When you buy or when you download this freebie from Moog, you get another 32, and you can flick between them. And you can literally select on that side or on that side the presets. You can adjust the presets. However, on this side here, you've got waveforms, and if I just quickly do that, so you've got a number of waveforms available to you. So you've got the sine, the square, the triangle, and so on, Animoog, ether wave, and you can then set the scan rates. You've got your filtering, so it's very like a synth. And then down here, we've got the delay. But, as I said, this is where it gets a bit funny, interesting. What you can do is you can program each antenna to output a MIDI CC value. Okay? It won't fire a note off, but what it will do, you can set it to adjust something. So I've got it programmed at the moment. I apologize if this demo suddenly goes horribly wrong because we had a few technical issues earlier. But this is the Model D app. I'm just going to press the key hold. So if you map the pitch antenna to, say, the LFO control, something else, run an arpeggiator, you can control the volume, and you can tweak the sound. It's not quite happening at the moment, so I apologise for that. But what we are going to do now, because Lydia is the person you really want to be listening to, not me, I'm going to ask Lydia to come up and play another piece for us. So I'm just going to...
Okay, first of all, it won't be a piece. It would be a rather an improvisation, but I'll just tell what I'm doing right now. First of all, I have to calibrate the instrument for myself. So every time you were noticing, I was tuning the theremin before I was playing. The theremin reacts to everything what is around it. So you have to adjust this electromagnetic field for that particular situation. So and for that particular performer. So I calibrate. I have to walk away. Oops, now. And it memorizes like empty space. Now it will memorize my hand just near the antenna. It will memorize the far away movement and with the left hand as well. Sorry for that. That was my loudest sound. Okay, and I'll just check how's it. Yeah, it works. You see, I arrange my notes so that I can reach the octave within opening my hand. Okay, and if I would like to use the pitch correction here, you think it would help, but actually it does not, because you don't know exactly where it happens, the switch from one to another note. So I have to watch this tuner, these notes that are running and shaking, and I have to watch them when I play with pitch correction. But we'll see what happens. Just a minute. Let me... Yeah. I think we should...
I'll try and get back on track. The other thing with the Theremini that I forgot to mention is the editor and the apps and the presets. On my Theremini people Facebook group, we've got a group of people sharing presets. So it's an open source kind of thing. So let me just go back to where we've come to now. It's one of the oldest electronic instruments that there actually is. 100 years old in 2019. So Moog decided that's worth celebrating. Watch out for the boom. I'm just going to have to switch this off. One thing you find with some of the theremins is they don't like being near each other because of this capacitance field around them. So we're having to switch things on and off. So I'm just going to kill this one. So we come over to here, 100 years of the theremin. To celebrate it, Moog created this beastie here called the Clarivox. Unusual name. Why Clarivox? Well, back in a few years ago, there was a wonderful lady called Clara Rockmore, who is regarded as possibly the greatest player of all time. And if you'll notice in the picture, there's Leon Theremin, Clara Rockmore, and of course, Lydia. Lydia, you met and worked with Clara Rockmore, and she has influenced many players. How did she affect your playing?
I have to say that Clara is like the basis for every thereminist. Since we could see her videos, before 1990s, the instrument was very mysterious for most of people who would get it and would just not understanding what is it for music or is it just for effects, how you should play it, what you can play it. But since we could watch Clara playing, and that's the start was with the documentary of Steve Martin, Theremin and Electronic Odyssey, where Clara was performing and everyone could really watch how the theremin is actually a musical instrument. And from that point, we could see how she plays, and we could involve those techniques and try to play her repertoire. So we all are pupil of Clara Rockmore. I mean, we, the thereminists.
You don't know what to say after that. So the Clarivox is named after Clara Rockmore. She moved on to the theremin. She was originally a violin player, I believe, and had some arthritic problems and moved on to playing the theremin, and thank goodness she did. She's still influencing many of us, and I think a quote I'm misquoting, but if you want to learn to play the theremin, basically watch those videos, try and play it, and repeat the dose as often as possible, and we'll all get there one day. So the Clarivox, this is a 100-year-old anniversary edition. It's effectively two theremins in one. You have, over on the far side there, an analog theremin, designed and based around some of the early designs that Bob Moog did. And it's called, on the theremin, it's actually called traditional mode. You see the switch in the center. It's a bit blurry, but there's a traditional mode and a modern mode. You can tune each antenna to your own positions. You have a filter, so you can adjust and map the sound and change it in the tonality of the sounds. But you also have, if I turn it to and on mute, hang on. You have this wonderful analog delay in here, which is very like the delay on a Moog Fuga pedal. So that's in the analog mode. If we now go to modern mode, I'm just going to mute it. You've got on the front panel some of the controls you see reversed. If we just go back, you have a couple of additional controls, one of which is like pitch correction. The other control at the top here selects the register. You can move the octaves. So you can play in a select band of octaves by moving this switch. You can adjust the response of the antenna, so how quickly it responds to your hand movements. So if you wanted to have notes picked out very quickly, you would turn the response to very quick, and when you moved your volume hand, it would okay. And similarly with the pitch antenna, if you wanted slow changes of pitch, you could adjust that. You can use the quantization, which I say is very like the pitch correction there. But the bit where it gets funky, and I'm sure you'll like this, well, there's 6 memory buttons on the front timbre control in the center. There is actually 6 memories. So combining the Clarivox with an app, free download again, from Moog, which gives you a lot more options, and it also gives you Midi. But this time, full Midi implementation of notes. It will send pitch information. So I'm just going to come out of my slideshow and show you the Clarivox editor. Okay. And as I say, there are versions of this for Windows, for everything there is under the sun. And what you get here, you can see that you've got the basic controls, similar to the ones on the front panel, but you press a key up here, and you get all these additional controls, and you can start messing around with the oscillators and the waves that you can get from the oscillators. You can see there you've got sine, triangle, square. You've also got wavetables for both oscillators, and as I'm sure you know, 2 oscillators is better than 1. You've also got the option to add noise to one of the oscillators. Because we're not doing too well for time, I'm going to skip part of my presentation, but you can see there's a hell of a lot of functionality available through the app. Obviously, if you tried to put all those controls on this front panel, it would just be crazy. But what we've also got is, when you get this app, you get a library of presets, of which there are very, very many. Some of the presets are created by Moog. Some are, you see the names, I don't know if you can read them, but Gregoire Blanc and Doric Chrysler, 2 amazing players. They were involved in the development of the instrument. So this isn't just built and designed by engineers, their musicians were involved. Okay? So it really does have a lot going for it. But then we get the MIDI side. Now on MIDI, I've just got it set to channel 1. You see down at the bottom, you've got 2 modes for MIDI. MIDI pitch out, which is the MIDI pitch antenna. The antenna to the MIDI sends you pitch information. And you can do it either in fixed mode, and what fixed mode does is it plays a single note and bends it. Okay? So like the bend wheel on your little C, which is note number 60 for the people who know those bits of information, and you bend that note. This is what you would do in the fixed mode. In chromatic mode, you send individual notes and you can control the volume of those notes. So let me see if I can get this bit to work. Okay, I'm just going to go down here and I'm going to open my Model 15 app. Okay, and I'm going to pick an arpeggiator I'm quite partial to. Okay. The analog delay that just keeps going and going and going. Unfortunately, the only thing it doesn't do, it's always something, it doesn't mute when you mute the instrument. So in a wonderful analog way, you just drape a cable over the volume antenna. So that is how this wonderful device connects to Midi. You can also, obviously, with the other part of the app, back here in the presets bit, you can create your own presets, save them, share them if you want to, and build up your own library and move it around. I think, how are we doing for time? 13 minutes to go. Just going to do what you can do, because this is where I get crazy. So not only have I got one synth app, but you know, what's better than one synth app is two, of course. So now, not one, but two apps. And then we're going to I'll leave it at that. What we're going to do now, I'm going to invite Lydia back to play this back in its analog way.
So just as you notice that all these strange noises are very nice to do as a show. Yeah, but if we go back to classical theremin, you can close your eyes and just listen.